Evening, everybody. Thank you all for taking time out of your Thursdays to join us here for the graduate information session with FAU. We are going to go ahead and get started, but before I do, I just want to go over a couple of things with you. We're going to be utilizing the Q&A feature of WebEx to take all questions and answers this evening. All questions will be answered at the end of the program by one of our panelists that are here this evening. So if you have any questions, please send them through the Q&A. To access the Q&A, you're going to hover over the top or the bottom of your screen, and you'll click Q&A. If it's not in your menu bar, go ahead and select More, and then it should show you Q&A. If you just click there, it'll open the Q&A box. Additionally, we are recording this session, and it will be made available on our website. So if you'd like to go back and rewatch it, or if you want to send it to a friend that wasn't able to attend, you can do that. Also, you'll want to adjust your video view so that it shows just active speaker view. You do this by just hovering over where you see all of our pictures, and then at the top you'll see 3 little options. If you click the one all the way to the left, it should be show active speaker view. That way you only see the person who is speaking and the PowerPoint that they're going to be presenting at that time. As a participant this evening, you're not going to have the ability to unmute yourself or come on camera. We do this for confidentiality for all of you. So like I said, if you have anything that you would like to ask us or say to us, please send it through the Q&A. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. So this evening, there are going to be 3 panel of experts. You'll hear from myself at the very end of the presentation. We also have Dr. Stackman, who is our Dean of the Graduate College, who is going to be providing our opening remarks. And then we have Amy from test preparation, and she is going to be going over all things test prep for your GRE, GMAT, and potentially your TOEFL or IELTS, your English proficiency exam as well. Our agenda for the evening, so we're going to open it up with our Dean of the Graduate College. We'll talk about all things financial aid related for graduate students. Then we'll go into testing and evaluation and test preparation. And then we'll go through all things graduate college, graduate admissions, and then we'll take all the questions and answers at the end. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Stackman, our Dean of the Graduate College.
Thank you, Jordan, and welcome to everyone for joining our information session this evening. So if you're here, obviously you're interested in graduate training. And one of my roles at the university is to encourage students to consider graduate training, hopefully at Florida Atlantic University. So I've been at Florida Atlantic University for 15 years, and I am a professor in the Department of Psychology. I have a research lab in Jupiter where we study the neurobiology of learning and memory. I have a number of graduate students and a postdoc in my lab there. And so I split my time actually between Jupiter and Boca Raton, where I'm administering graduate programs as the Dean of the Graduate College, and I get to work with the fine individuals that you see here on our panel. So I did want to make a couple remarks about graduate programs. When I am out and about trying to talk to undergraduates about graduate training, what's so great about it, I often get some interesting responses, and so I just wanted to try to maybe dispel some of the myths that are out there about graduate programs, and so here's a couple of them, and I'll just kind of go quickly through them. But you know, to some extent, I think there's a concern that, oh, well, why do I have to do more college, right? I just finished my bachelor's, or I'm almost done with my bachelor's. I can't think about more school and going to graduate school. Of course, you know, with COVID and pandemic, we're all considering budget and finances, and are you willing to take on more financial burden by going to graduate school? And so as you're going to hear about more from the panelists about all the opportunities that are available to reduce the financial burden of graduate training. And I think what you'll find is that there's certainly a cost benefit to it, and it's really a dramatic return on investment. Then the other thing that often students will say when they'll say, well, I heard I only can take 3 courses a semester. It's going to take me forever to finish my degree. And I wanted to address that as well. So if I could have the next slide, we'll kind of go through these. And I've sort of touched on these already. So why is it not like undergrad all over again? And what makes graduate programs unique, special, is that hopefully in the course of your undergraduate training at the university, you found something that you've just fallen in love with. It's a topic that you're really interested in. That's the nugget that you go after for your graduate program. And in the graduate program, then you're going to take courses, and those courses focused on that particular topic. You won't have to take those other ancillary courses for requirements. Your graduate program is geared towards your specific topic of interest. What also makes it unique is that doctoral programs and master's programs where there's a thesis involved give you the opportunity where you get to produce your own knowledge, right? Think about your undergraduate training. You're learning about what's already known. Books, textbooks, and so forth are written, filled with knowledge of what's already known. With a graduate program, you might have the opportunity to create your own knowledge, create the brand new knowledge through your research and your scholarship. So that's one of the things that really makes it special. Creating new research, new knowledge, producing new scholarship. Because you're doing that, then the opportunity is rich for graduate students to perhaps publish that research in peer-reviewed journals, make presentations, give performances, maybe publish a book chapter or present at national and international conferences. Of course, right now they're all virtual. It's actually easier to attend an international conference now more than ever, but not as interesting and not as fun. But the other piece about that, the graduate program and why it's not necessarily like undergraduate is, as you can see on the slide here, it often makes the difference in your employability, your earning potential. So if you're already in a career position, getting that advanced degree, maybe going for that master's or that doctorate, could be make a real difference in terms of your career path. If you're not in a career yet, it can certainly make a difference in terms of your employability. Certain positions require a master's degree or a doctorate. So in many career paths, it's actually essential. Okay, and so let's take a look at the finance piece. And is it too expensive? And one of the things that I often find students, when I talk to them, they're often surprised to hear these pieces. And you're going to hear a lot more about the opportunities for financial aid, scholarships, and so forth from the panelists. But one of the things that students, I think, often don't realize is that most doctoral programs, if you're accepted into that doctoral program, the acceptance comes with some sort of contracted assistantship. Okay, it could be a teaching assistantship, or it could be a research assistantship, which pays a stipend. It's not a lot, but it's a stipend. It's paying you to go to school, essentially. And that assistantship comes with a full tuition waiver. And that's really a significant difference. And then as well, what the university does now, the graduate college is providing 75% of the subsidy for the health insurance program that we have available to graduate students. So if you're hired onto an assistantship position as a doctoral student, those are the ways in which you can reduce the financial burden of the program. So basically what this is, the university is making a tremendous investment in your future, in your degree. And as well, many employers, if you're already in a career, check with your employer to determine if that employer provides tuition remission and many employers do that. Florida Atlantic University offers this kind of benefit to their workers. And a number of our graduate students are employed by the university. And as well, as I had indicated, you're going to hear a lot more about the other fellowships and scholarships that are available to students. So maybe I can have the next slide. Yeah, and then the last one is something that I used to say, right? It should be called graduate school because it takes a while. You're taking these 3 courses. Why am I only taking 3? Why not 6? Well, as I said, the opportunity and what's set aside graduate programs is that opportunity to create your own new knowledge and engage in your own scholarship. Those efforts take time, right? So if you were taking 6 courses a semester, yeah, you'd finish the course requirements sooner, but you wouldn't be developing your own body of work, your own scholarship. So the 3 courses a semester provides the student out of classroom time to really delve into that research and really get that done. So it does take time to get that degree, but that is what we would call an investment in your future. I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to encourage you to participate in the questions and answers. And we always have a rich a series of discussions, and so I welcome the opportunity to help answer any of the questions that you might have. And as well, you have my contact information, so I'd encourage you to reach out to me if any of this sounds of interest to you, and I can provide any more details. So thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Jordan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stackman. Okay, so now we are going to move right into graduate financial aid. So the first thing that you want to do as an incoming graduate student or a prospective graduate student is fill out your FAFSA. This is going to be the same FAFSA application that you submitted as an undergraduate student, except this time it's going to be all of your own financial data. Graduate students are considered independent students, so you don't have to include that mom and dad, claim you on their taxes. If that's still the case, you can just input all of your own information. If you think that you're going to be starting a program in summer 2021, you want to fill out the 2020-2021 application. And then if you think you're going to be starting in the fall 2021, spring 2022, or summer 2022, you want to fill out the 2021-2022 application, and that opened on October 1st. So as a rule of thumb, the new FAFSA applications for each academic year will always open on October 1st. So you should just get in the habit of submitting this application every year until you're completely done with your studies. That way you don't have to worry about it. So put a little reminder in your phone for October 1st, and that way when it opens, you'll be one of the first ones to complete it. We have an FAU priority deadline of January 1st to submit your FAFSA application, and then we have our secondary deadline of March 1st. And then I've also provided our school code there for you as well. But if you forget the school code, it's okay. You can just type in Florida Atlantic University and it should pop up our financial aid office. So some of the financial aid available to graduate students, the first thing you're going to get offered is a federal student loan. Just because you get offered the federal student loan as part of your financial aid package doesn't mean you have to accept it, especially if you're going to be a student like on an assistantship and you're getting that tuition waiver and a stipend. You're like, no, I don't need any additional money to support my education. You can go ahead and decline it, but they're always going to offer it to you. The next thing that you're going to get offered is going to be the FAU Graduate Student Grant, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. And then that'll go scholarships, fellowships, assistantships, and then employer tuition reimbursement. So if you are working for a company and they have, a tuition and reimbursement, as Dr. Stackman said, what you want to do is just speak with your employer and then find out what type of assistance they offer. Sometimes your employer will make you, pay for it out of pocket, and they'll wait for your grades to come in, and then based off your grades, they'll pay you a stipend, or sometimes they'll just go ahead and give you a voucher and you can pay for it all up front. So you just really work that out with your employer with how they want to pay your tuition. So like I said, the first thing you're getting offered is a direct unsubsidized loan. Now, the difference between an unsubsidized and a subsidized loan, like what you're probably familiar with as an undergraduate student, is unsubsidized loans, the interest begins at the time of disbursement. So while you don't have to make any payments on the principal of your loan, you are going to be accruing interest while you're in school. So they do recommend that you at least try to make the interest payments, but you don't have to. It's just a way to kind of keep that interest in check while you're still in your studies. This is no credit check. It's based off of the information that you submit in your FAFSA. And then there's a loan annual limit of $20,500. So that's anything you would borrow for fall, spring, and summer. You have a lifetime limit of federal student loans of $138,500. And you're probably going, oh my gosh, Jordan, that's a lot of money. You wouldn't be surprised how many students will rack up debt that high just with their undergraduate studies, especially if you went to school out of state and you were taking student loans to support your out-of-state studies. So I'm going to give you a resource in a little bit of where you can kind of check how much you borrowed and in what status your loans are at this point in time. If the $20,500 is not enough because you're an out-of-state student and you're paying that higher tuition rate, you can always apply for a Graduate Plus loan. This is based off of a credit check, and it's not something that's automatically awarded. You do have to apply for it, and you apply through studentloans.gov, and it does have a slightly higher interest rate as well, but that is an option if you have more expenses that you need to cover. I mentioned the FAU Graduate Student Grant a little earlier. This is the only type of grant money that you're going to be automatically offered through your financial aid package. This is solely based off of your FAFSA data. So even if you're like, nope, I don't want the federal student loan, fill out the FAFSA anyway, because you could be qualified for our FAU Graduate Grant. as well as numerous scholarships and fellowships that FAU offers, require that you have a FAFSA on file that shows financial need. So that's the only way we know, submit that FAFSA. This is a first come, first serve grant. Funds are limited, so the earlier that you submit your FAFSA, the better your chances are of receiving the FAU graduate grant. The grant is awarded up to $1,200 per semester or $2,400 per academic year. And then as with everything that we do, your financial aid package is determined by how many credits that you're enrolled in. So scholarships, FAU has hundreds of scholarships that are listed on our financial aid website, and put the website there for you at the bottom. This is just a little screen grab of our scholarship site. If you were able to scroll down this page, you would just see all of the scholarship listings. Once you're a student, you'll get access to your MyFAU account, and through your MyFAU account, you'll be able to apply for all of these scholarships. But until then, you can take a look at this website, see what the criteria is, see what type of funding is out there, and just really get an idea of what you could be eligible for and what you could potentially receive. Now, the caveat with the FAU scholarships through the financial aid office is that some of them are strictly for undergraduate students, and some of them are going to be strictly for graduate students. If the listing doesn't explicitly say that it's for an undergraduate student, you're able to apply for those. You'll just have to read through the listing and see, what you're eligible for. So your borrowing history, the NSLDS.ed.gov, this is the website where you can go to check on the status of all of your federal loans. It'll tell you your balance, who's servicing your loans, and then the status of whether they're in deferment or if you're in repayment, or if they're in default or anything like that. This is also where you do your exit counseling when you're done with your studies, basically telling the government, yes, I promise I'm going to pay these student loans back, and goes over like all of your borrowing terms as well. If you received Bright Futures as an undergraduate student, you could have additional funding through your Bright Futures left. And I say this because if you graduated in less than 7 semesters, you would be eligible for 1 semester of funding through Bright Futures. Now, the way this works is you have to email your financial aid counselor. Financial aid counselors are determined by your last name. They put all of the contact information on the financial aid website. You email your financial aid counselor and say, hey, I was a Bright Futures scholar. I would like to know if there's any, funding remaining, and they'll be able to go into the Bright Futures database and determine if there's funding left. If there is, they'll post it to your graduate student account. And then what happens is it's the Bright Futures, it pays out at the undergraduate tuition rate at the university that you're attending. So while it won't pay for your entire graduate course, it'll at least help a little bit, which is a tremendous help when you're looking for ways to finance your education. And then enrollment, like I mentioned a little earlier, everything that we offer is based off of your enrollment. So in order to be considered for your full financial aid package, you must be enrolled full-time. And that's what we consider 9 credits at the graduate level or more. And then to get any sort of financial aid package from FAU, you have to be enrolled at least half-time, and half-time is what we consider 4.5 to 6 credits per semester. And that's for fall and spring. And then it's adjusted, it's lower for the summer semester if you decide to enroll in the summer. So debt management. Debt management is a huge topic of conversation. Before you borrow a federal student loan, you obviously want to determine how much you actually need. You don't want to overborrow and then just be repaying back student loans forever. So determine what you need, determine what you're going to be able to afford post-graduation, understand the terms and the interest of that federal student loan. This is all through studentloans.gov, and then stay in good standing so you don't have people calling you saying that you owe them money. Make sure that you stay in good standing on your loans. You can look at that on the NSLDS.ed.gov website. And then FAU has a nice page on our financial aid website about debt management, and it'll kind of explain it in more detail as well. So here's a recap of your resources, NSLDS.ed.gov, and then you have your studentloans.gov. FAFSA.gov is where you're going to want to fill out your FAFSA application. Like with a lot of things that are in 2021, there's a lot of phony sites and a lot of scams happening and people trying to collect your social security number and whatnot. So make sure that you're going through government websites, as those are like the legitimate website. Anything that asks you to pay to submit a financial aid application, that is not a correct website. FAFSA will never ask you to pay to submit your application. And then we have our financial aid website there at the bottom, fau.edu/finaid if you want more information. Okay, and then as I mentioned, you're all assigned a financial aid counselor. So when you log into your MyFAU account and you go to your self-service portal, it'll be listed there, as well as if you go to the financial aid website, this counselor is split by your last name. So you just have to find where you fall in the last name category, and then you can reach out there. I've listed their main phone number here as well for you if you just want to call and get an idea of the types of funding that is available and whatnot, and you just want to speak to a representative, you can do that. So that is all things financial aid. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy. Amy is our representative from testing and evaluation, and she is going to go through all things testing and test preparation. So Amy, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Amy Kukin, and I am a member of the test preparation department. And we fall under the umbrella of testing and evaluation at Florida Atlantic University. And so I'm going to speak to you tonight about registering for your exam and then ways to prepare for your exam. So for many, even in the FAU community, are not aware that Florida Atlantic University has testing centers on each of its campuses. And they contract with many different test companies. And so their webpage is an excellent resource of testing that you could take for certification, and then also for your entrance exams. Here, you would be able to track down the publisher's website so that you could then go and register for your exam. But keep in mind that there are some exams that you could choose to take on the FAU campuses. Here's a list of the exams that are available for in-person testing on the Boca Raton campus, and many are also available at the Davie and the Jupiter campus. So the GRE, the LSAT, Miller's Analogy Test, the MCAT, and then the TOEFL for English proficiency. Now, during this time of COVID isolation, many test companies have developed the ability for students to test at home. And what this does is it frees up a lot of spots. Many test centers are restricted in the number of students they can test each day. And so if you qualify to test at home, that is something you could pursue. And you do that through the publisher's website. And you would select your date and time. One thing I will mention, though, is that you do need to make sure that you would qualify to take a test at home. And on the websites is the complete listing of the qualifications for your computer, your environment, and your timing. For many of you attending tonight, you're probably looking at the GRE or the GMAT as your entrance exam. Historically, the GMAT has been the exam for business schools. Recently, that has begun to change, and many are accepting scores from the GRE. Something you would definitely want to check into is if your program of interest specifies which exam they prefer. Also, they will tell you on the information page what your minimum score requirements to qualify for the program would be. And that definitely would help you set up which exam you're looking at and how much time you need to invest in preparation. If you choose to take the GRE exam, you would go to gre.org. Here there's a lot of information about the exam. You would also register for your exam here. Here you would select your test center of choice and see available dates and times. And definitely remember that, for instance, you are in the Boca Raton area, you want to test at the FAU campus, and you find out you can't test for another 3 months. Definitely look around for other test centers in the area to find better dates or better times. If you are looking at taking the GMAT exam, you would head to the publisher's site, mba.com. Here you will find a plethora of information about business schools, again, information about the GMAT exam, preparation tips will be here too, and register for your exam. Oh, and what I didn't mention on the GRE page, and it's going to be true on the GMAT registration page, is this is where you will find that test at home information to help you decide if that is an option for you. Those of you who need to showcase English proficiency have 3 choices if you're applying at Florida Atlantic University. They are the TOEFL exam, the IELTS, or the English test through Duolingo. And here, again, I would strongly recommend speaking to a representative at your program of interest to help you narrow down the best choice for that particular program. Again, you would go to the publisher's website to register for the exam. So for instance, the TOEFL is a member of the ETS family. So you go to ets.org/TOEFL and register for the exam through the publisher's webpage. The IELTS.org is where you would go to register for that exam. And again, there will be a lot of information there for you. And then the englishtest.duolingo.com is where you would head to register for that exam. Okay, so now that you've registered for your exam, you have the idea of which exam you need to zero in on. The question becomes, how do you prepare for that exam? So one thing I'll point out is that FAU does have a dedicated test preparation department. And what we do is we offer courses to students looking for comprehensive review of materials for the entrance exams. We offer for GRE, GMAT, LSAT, the MCAT, the 2 high school level entrance exams, SAT, ACT. And then we also offer courses on the general knowledge tests that Florida teachers need for certification. On our website, you can see the complete list of the exams and then also get into our scheduling. Now, what I meant by comprehensive courses is that we focus on not just test preparation, getting you test taking tips, helping you with timing while you're taking the exam, helping you get to the best answer choice without a lot of stress. But we also go through review of content for the verbal sections of, say, the GRE, how to write an essay to score very well in that section, and the mathematical concepts that are tested on each exam. And so you do get a very strong background to help you feel prepared. Our courses for the GRE and the GMAT and the LSAT are each $650, and they run for approximately 6 weeks in order to get you that well-rounded experience. In the past, pre-COVID, we did offer all of our courses in person, and we really stood out in the field of test preparation for that reason. We offered that classroom experience, that one-on-one interaction with an instructor. Since we've been moved into remote learning, we've shifted all of our courses to accommodate a live online session. So we maintain that connection with the instructor. It's just done through Zoom or WebEx. And a lot of our students have raved about the transition that it's gone very well. So I'm really happy to report that. Now, another thing to consider in your preparation is the timing. So you have your date of your deadline date for your program of interest, and you want to ensure that your scores arrive on time. So you definitely want to begin your preparation with at least a 2-week window from that deadline date. From there, you then need to decide, how am I going to prepare? I highly, highly recommend you do not pick a date to take your exam and walk in off the street thinking, oh, I'm applying for a graduate program, I should know all of this, and expect that you will get a competitive score. Many students, I unfortunately have to report, call and want to take our courses, and that is exactly what they did. They went in, they took the GRE exam, for instance, and realized they were not at all prepared and wanted a second opportunity to improve their scores. So definitely build into your window of applying for your graduate program the time it would take to prepare. Now, how do you know how much time you need to prepare? One thing, on the next slide, please, that we stress in our courses, and I would stress to each of you, is an excellent way to begin your preparation is by taking a practice test. Now, I know many of you probably do not want to take the time to take a practice test, but it is a really powerful tool to you to understand what the test is like, what the questions look like, what the answer choices read like. It also gives you an idea of your testing anxiety. Do you go too fast? Do you freeze? And all of these things will come out during your practice test when you want to make those mistakes and flush out how much time you need to prepare. I actually just took a practice GRE yesterday, and I can tell you it was definitely a study in confidence because I hadn't looked at that material in the longest time, and brings up another point of much of the material that is tested on the GRE and the GMAT is from probably high school level courses for many of you, particularly mathematics courses. When was the last time you looked at a geometry problem or a beginning algebra problem? And what would it take to get you back up to speed to feel confident to reach an answer quickly? And so all of that goes into what you would gain through the practice test and what you would need to build into your preparation time. The other thing I'll mention about the practice test, and these are free through the publisher's website, is that many of them will give you a score report, but also an analysis of the breakdown of the question types. And that can really help you zero in on areas of difficulty and help you decide how much time to put into that, each section of content that is tested on these exams. So here's my contact information through the test preparation office. If you have any questions about test preparation or testing, please definitely give me a call or send me an email message. The last thing I'll stress to each of you attending in-person testing is to make sure that you read and understand the material that is sent to you from the testing office. Many people arrive unprepared, and the worst thing that can happen is you get carried away on your test day, or you inadvertently do something that disqualifies your exam. And one prime example of that is on the GRE, you get a 10-minute break in between sessions, about halfway through. And if you take out your cell phone for any, just to check messages, to check in with whomever, and you are recorded in the test center. So if that recording shows you looking at your phone, you are immediately disqualified from your test and your scores are wiped out. Other things that could lead to disqualification have to do with obviously trying to bring anything in your pockets. There are guidelines on what you can wear to a test center for your testing. And so you definitely just want to take that time to eliminate any of that stress before you go in and make sure you know exactly what they expect of you. Thank you. And I'll be around for questions at the end.
Thank you, Amy. I also want to add that some of our graduate programs right now, due to COVID, are offering waivers for the GRE and GMAT. In my presentation, I'm going to show you where to locate our programs, but I'll also show you where on our website you can locate those GRE or GMAT waivers. And a lot of it is through our fall 2021 admission cycle. This website will have the list of programs that is still requiring the GRE or the GMAT. And if you don't see your program of interest listed in that list, that means that they're offering a waiver at this time, and therefore you would not need to submit GRE or GMAT scores. If you're an international applicant or a non-native speaker of English, you would still need to submit English proficiency scores, but you would just not have to submit the GRE or GMAT test scores. So I'll show you where that is in just a minute. All right, so the Graduate College. We are a service college and we are dedicated to the success of our graduate students. So we do this through workshops and programming throughout the semester. We are the ones that are intaking your applications and processing your admissions documents, but then we are also the ones at the very end of your degree program who are auditing your degree requirements and certifying your degree as well. We have different types of staff in our college. We've got, advisors. We have a person who helps with thesis and dissertation formatting. We also have our own marketing person. So once you become a graduate student, you'll get monthly newsletters from us that just really lets you know what's going on in the graduate college, upcoming events, fellowship opportunities, faculty spotlights, student research spotlights. So it really just keeps you well informed of everything that's happening in our graduate programs at FAU. This is a breakdown of our graduate programs. So as you can see, the majority of our programs are master's level programs, but we do offer a good chunk of doctoral programs as well for a total core program of 94. Now, this number does not include all of the concentrations that you can do within different programs as well. Like, for instance, our MBA degrees, there's probably 12 different concentrations that you can study through an MBA at FAU. So that doesn't include all of that. So chances are, if one, you're here, you've already found a program that's interesting to you at FAU, and two, if you're looking for something in particular, we likely have that to offer to you as well. And as you can see, we also have a medical school. That admission does not come through the graduate college, but that is an option if you are looking for a medical school. So financial support. I went over the bottom part of this list at the beginning, but really what I want to highlight here are going to be fellowship opportunities and assistantship opportunities, because those are the two hot topics at FAU, and everyone wants a fellowship and everybody wants an assistantship. So the first thing I want to cover are fellowships. I've broken this list into internal fellowships that are offered through the graduate college and then some external resources. And this isn't even all of the resources that we have listed on our website. This is just a very small handful of what we offer. Now, in terms of internal fellowships, we offer 5 internal fellowships through the FAU Graduate College. What that means is we intake all of the applications. We put together a faculty committee to review fellowship applications and all the supporting documents. And then those faculty committee members make suggestions for which students should be receiving a fellowship for that academic year. Our internal fellowships applications, they open every single spring semester towards the beginning, so late January, early February they open, and then they close at the beginning of May. Now that is funding that we select for the following fall and spring semester. So you'll apply for it through, the spring before, and then we put the faculty committees, they review over the summer, and then we make we communicate the decisions before the start of the fall semester. So those are options. They all offer different levels of funding in terms of the amount. Some of them are for doctoral students, some of them are for master's students. So you really just have to read through the criteria and see what you could potentially be eligible for. I'm the point of contact for any of these internal fellowships. So if you have any questions about fellowships or funding or application status because you've already applied, please feel free to send me an email and I'd be happy to kind of look and guide you through the fellowships that we offer. I listed 3 external fellowships there at the bottom. These are also excellent sources of funding. You'll find more information on our website, and then we also link over to the respective party that offers the fellowships as well. These all will pay directly into your financial aid account, so it'll cover your tuition and fees, and then anything that would be left over would be refunded to you like a financial aid refund where you can use it for your textbooks or lab expenses or anything like that. You can use those funds for. So the next thing are assistantships. Now these are very hot commodities here at FAU. Every student wants an assistantship, but not every student will be able to receive an assistantship. So right now we have 3 different types of assistantship positions at FAU. We have a graduate assistant position. A graduate assistant will work in various offices around campus. They'll help with their kind of day-to-day functions of the office. And it really is a way to kind of get some hands-on training in your field of interest. A graduate assistant position will come with a tuition waiver. Now the level and percentage of that tuition waiver, it all varies upon the budget of the department or the program that you're working for. And then you'll also be offered a stipend for the hours that you work. Again, that stipend will vary between just a flat rate for the semester, or it could be an hourly stipend for the time worked. All assistantship positions require that you work 20 hours per week. That's either going to be on campus working in a lab doing research, or it could be working remotely from home, as much of FAU's staff is working remotely. The next thing is a teaching assistant position. A teaching assistant position is exactly what it says it is. It's a teaching position. You'll be teaching within your graduate program, and you'll be teaching undergraduate level courses, within that field of study. So it shouldn't be anything that's like a foreign language to you. You'll be paired with a faculty member that'll design the curriculum and will help you and guide you through facilitating those courses. I find that a lot of the teaching assistants at FAU are facilitating lab courses if you're in engineering or science, or if you're going into an English program or a writing program, you could be teaching, ENC 1101 or 1102, or you could be teaching college algebra classes if you're a math major or anything like that. These will also come with a tuition waiver, again, dependent upon the budget of the program that you're working for, or the department that you're hired within, and then a stipend for the time worked as well. A teaching position, if you want to find out more about what is offered or how many students they hire into teaching positions, you really want to communicate with your program of interest. And I say that because your program of interest, they're ultimately going to be the ones making the hiring decisions for assistantship positions, and they will know how many students are going to be graduating and how many positions are going to be coming open once a particular student graduates. So for any information on a teaching position, you really want to communicate with your program of interest. The last type of assistantship position that you could receive here at FAU is a research position. That is exactly what it says it is as well. You're going to be doing research within your graduate major, and you will either be designing your own research, or you could be helping a faculty member with their current research as well. Again, this comes with a tuition waiver and a stipend for about 20 hours per week of work. And if you're interested in receiving a research position, you also want to communicate with your department or your program of interest to find out what opportunities are there. Now, it could also be possible that you get offered a combination of both a teaching position and a research position, where you could be doing 10 hours teaching and 10 hours doing research. Again, it really just depends on the needs of your graduate program and what they need from you. My pro tip for a teaching and a research position would be to reach out to the faculty of your graduate program. I know it sounds a little intimidating because you're just, fresh looking into FAU graduate programs, but I think Dr. Stackman would also agree with this, that reaching out to faculty is one of the best ways to determine what type of opportunities there are, and two, to make sure that this is really the best fit program for you. If you're committing to a doctoral program, you could be spending anywhere between 4 and 6 years doing research and working on your dissertation in that program. So you really want to make sure that the faculty in that program are people that you would like to work with and are going to be supportive of your research and your interests and your studies, but also that it's really going to help you get to your end goal as well. And that the best way is just to communicate with faculty. Our graduate faculty are some of the friendliest people that I have met. They love speaking with prospective students. They love helping their graduate students. So just reach out to them and start, opening up that conversation. If you have any difficulty getting in touch with anybody, please just let the graduate college know. You can email myself, and I would be happy to facilitate a connection for you to anybody that you're trying to get a hold of. Okay, so I want to show you 2 things on this screenshot right here. One, it's going to be where to find our GRE and GMAT waivers, and 2, it's going to be how to search our programs. So you'll see there in our menu bar, we have a couple of different options for you. If you were to click on admissions, that is where you will find our GRE and GMAT waiver options. All you have to do is just go to fau.edu/graduate and just click admissions. I'm getting ahead of myself. Just click admissions and it'll take you right to that page. If you want to find the comprehensive list of our graduate programs, you will click there where it says programs, and it will open up this list of programs. Now, on the left is going to be the name of the major that is offered in that program, and then on the right is going to be the level of degree offered for that particular major. If you click on the level of degree that you're looking to obtain in that major, it opens up our program sheet. Now, this is going to be your cheat sheet on how to apply to FAU. The program sheet, it's going to include the application deadlines. It's going to include all of the admissions requirements. It's going to have the contact information for the program coordinator or the program director. It could be a faculty member that this is giving you contact information for. And then it's also going to give you the website link for that particular program's website. So you can click there and then go find more specific information about that program. The courses, oftentimes their websites will include a comprehensive list of their faculty, what their faculty is researching. From there, faculty members have their own websites where you can dive more into their research, so you can really just make sure that you're partnering up and finding the best advisor for your program and making the right choice when it comes to a graduate program. So everything there. Now, the program sheet is really important to pay attention to because not all of our graduate programs admit 3 times per year. Some of our programs are only admitting once per year, some are only admitting in the fall or spring, and then some are only, and then some admit, all 3 semesters. So you want to look at the program sheet, determine which semester you would like to start, and then you see the application deadline there. Anything that's listed underneath admissions requirements must be submitted with your application in order to be considered for admission. We will still have GRE and GMAT listed here as a requirement because it would typically be a requirement if we weren't in a pandemic. So that's why you want to look at the website where we're listing, the programs that are still requiring it and determine if it's still required for you. If you have any questions about the GRE or GMAT, please feel free to send me an email and I'll let you know if it's something that you need to submit with your application or not. Okay, so that's what our program sheets look like. So some of our pathways to graduate education. So if you're a current FAU student, we do have a lot of, we call them BS to MS programs or accelerated programs. These BS to MS programs allow you to start taking graduate level courses as an undergraduate student. And what that does is it allows you to count the credits for your undergraduate degree, and then it transfers seamlessly into your graduate degree at FAU. For more information on this, you'll need to go to our website because not every undergraduate program at FAU offers an associated combined degree. So step one would be to determine if there's a combined degree for you. And then step two is you want to start having a conversation with your undergraduate academic advisor. And I say this because your undergraduate advisor is going to do a degree audit on your remaining courses, and they're going to also look at your GPA. A lot of our BS to MS programs require that you have at least a 3.0 GPA. If you're an engineering student, you must have a 3.25 GPA in order to be eligible for this program. And then you also must have upper division electives remaining in your graduate program. So what they'll do is they'll take away those upper division electives that you have to take, and then they plug in graduate courses for you to take instead. So this is really like dual enrollment at the college level. So this really does help, and it'll accelerate your track to graduation. A lot of times programs will allow you to take between 9 to 12 credits as an undergrad in graduate courses. And so that sometimes can take away a third of your graduate degree if they'll let you take up to 12 credits. That'll eliminate a third of the time that you would spend in a graduate degree. So it is very helpful. Another way to accelerate your track to graduation and finishing your master's degree or doctoral degree very quickly would be to take summer courses. FAU offers 3 mini terms in the summer, and we've also started offering like intersessions between our fall and spring semesters, and then an intersession in between spring and summer as well. So you are welcome to, if you see a class that interests you, to sign up for classes in those intersessions and those mini terms. And then, that'll allow you to graduate much quicker than you would if you would just take the summer off. Some other options to go into our graduate program would be through our Intensive English Institute. So if you're an international student or a non-native English speaker and you're taking the TOEFL or the IELTS or Duolingo and you're really just not getting the scores that you need in order to be eligible for your graduate program, you could come through our Intensive English Institute, and so long as you complete level 6, that would satisfy the English proficiency requirements. So that is also an option. And then if you're coming from a state college and you're doing a bachelor's degree at a state college and you're wanting to come to FAU for your master's, that is perfect. So a lot of your bachelor's degrees that you'll earn at a state college, they will have the background necessary to go into our graduate programs at FAU. So those are a couple of your options in terms of coming into FAU. So our graduate student success, I show you these so that you can really just like visualize yourself in these photos. So the photo on the left is from our inaugural 3-minute thesis competition. These students got up on stage in a group, in front of their FAU peers, faculty members, advisors, people from the Boca Raton community, their families, their friends, and they competed and they presented their research in 3 minutes or less with one single static slide. So students who compete in this, they win scholarship money for their studies, which can help support their research even further. This is a really cool event. It's a free event to the public. We do it every single year. So if you really want to see what our FAU graduate students are doing and what they're researching, check out this event. We have recordings on our website from this past year, so you can really just get a really good idea of what our students and our school is all about. And then the photo on the right there is recent doctoral grads. So I'm a firm believer in like manifesting your destiny and really thinking and speaking out loud about what you want out of your life. So if you just say, I'm going to get a doctoral degree, and you write it down and you speak it into existence, this could be you in a couple of years getting your doctoral degree and moving on to bigger things. So our enrollment. So this is a snapshot of our fall 2020 enrollment. So while you'll see that our total enrollment is over 30,000 students, it's actually closer to 31,000 students. We have a very small graduate student population. And this is a good news for all of you because you're looking at FAU because we are a large, medium to large size institution, but it's really going to allow you to get one-on-one with faculty members and other students in your programs. And really just get that individualized attention that you should be looking for in a graduate program. A lot of our courses have, limited seats in terms of, you may find a course that you sign up for that only has 20 students in it. You could sign up for a course where it has 10 students in it. But that really just means you get very individualized attention from the faculty and professors teaching those courses. So our admissions numbers, and I don't show you these for you to get discouraged. I show you this so that you can take your applications just very seriously and make sure that you're submitting all of the supporting documents for your application so that you can be fully considered for our graduate programs. So just in the fall semester, we had just over 2,500 students apply for admission at FAU, and then we admitted just over 1,600 students. Ultimately, we had just under 1,300 students enroll with us, brand new students enroll with us this past fall. Now, the numbers that aren't reflected here are going to be incomplete applications, which means you didn't turn in your official transcripts, or you didn't turn in English proficiency exam scores, or you didn't turn in GRE or GMAT scores that would have been required as part of your application process. Or you could receive a no decision, and what a no decision means is that the program required supplemental documentation such as like a resume or letters of recommendation, personal statements, perhaps a portfolio or an audition, an interview, and you didn't submit those things, or you submitted part of it but not all of it, and they would assign you a no decision. A no decision doesn't mean that you're denied from a graduate program. It just means they didn't have everything they needed to make an admission decision at that time, and they're going to work with you and allow you to be considered for the next application cycle, so long as you turn in all of those documents. So if you receive a no decision, you'll work directly with your program that you applied for to determine what was still outstanding from your program, and then make sure that you can turn it in to get full consideration for a program. So that's our admissions as a whole. So our application process. Now this is going to be our application process for students who are applying for summer or fall 2021. And then come spring 2022 admission, we're going to have a new process. So right now the process is you go to our application, our website, which is fau.edu/graduate. And underneath our banner image, you're going to see a big red apply now button. And you're going to click that button. If you've never applied to a graduate program at FAU before, the first thing you're going to do is create an account. And if you have applied to a graduate program at FAU before, you could just log in with the previous account that you created when you applied previously. Once you get into the application portal after you log in or create the account, you're going to see a button that says New Application at the top of your screen. You're going to go ahead and click that New Application button, and then it'll bring you into the online application. From there, you're going to fill in all of the required fields. Anything that's required is going to be highlighted in yellow or orange. It looks different depending on your computer, but it's yellow or orange, and you fill it in. And then you just work your way through each section of the application until you reach the very end. At the end of the application, you're going to click Submit, and once you click Submit, it's going to bring you to the confirmation page. On the confirmation page, it's going to give you your confirmation number or your reference number, and that is a number that you want to write down and keep handy. So if you email us to ask about a status update, or following up if we've received documents that you've submitted, make sure to include that confirmation number, because it just helps us locate your application more quickly and we can assist you very quickly. After you get that confirmation screen, it'll give you the option right then and there to pay your $30 application fee with a credit or debit card. Now, application fees are required. We do not offer waivers for application fees, but we do if you are in a certain, if you're 3 categories of students. So if you're a McKnight fellow, that you've been selected to be a McKnight fellow, so just send me an email, let me know that you're going to be a McKnight fellow, and we'll waive your application fee for you. If you're a McNair scholar at your undergraduate institution, or you were a McNair scholar at your undergraduate institution, just send me a letter on their letterhead saying that you were enrolled, and when you're enrolled, they typically have a very standard template for this letter, and just email it to me and I can waive your application fee for you. Or if you're going to be a Fulbright scholar as well, we offer application fee waivers for Fulbright scholars. Everyone else, including current FAU students or returning FAU students, will need to pay the application fee. Excuse me. From there, after you submit the application, you're going to want to start working on submitting your official transcripts. Now, we will need official transcripts from any previously attended institution, but if you took any coursework at FAU or you're an FAU graduate, you do not need to submit transcripts for any courses completed at FAU. We have access to all of your student record information, so please don't spend $10 to send us transcripts that we already have access to. So that's only for FAU students. If you previously applied to FAU as a graduate student and you're applying again because you were denied admission or you never completed your program, send me an email and let me take a look at what we still have on file for you. Chances are, if you've submitted your transcripts previously and it was recently, we likely still have those on file, so you wouldn't need to submit them. But if you know you've submitted documents to us before, just send me an email before you send them again, and I can confirm one way or another if you need to resubmit or if we still have them. The next thing you'll do is submit your test scores. So if your program is still requiring GRE or GMAT scores, you'll need to submit those scores because they're going to be needing those scores to review your application. Or if you need to provide English proficiency exam scores, we also need you to submit those as well so that we can process your application. And then after that, you'll start sending in your supplemental documents. Right now, some of our programs are set up to take your supplemental documents as uploads in the online application. So if it asks for you to upload it in your online application, that's all you need to do, just upload it in your online application. If it doesn't ask you to upload your supplemental docs in your online application, but you know your program requires them, these are items that get sent directly to your graduate program. You can send me an email and say, hey, I need contact information for my graduate program. I'd be happy to put you in contact with the person who will be able to collect these documents for you. Some of our programs will let you email them into them. Some of them actually prefer like a hard copy mailed packet. So you really just need to work with your program of interest to determine how they would like to receive these documents. Those things could include like a personal statement, letters of recommendation, resumes. Some of our arts programs will require like an audition or a portfolio. So all of these requirements are going to be outlined on the program sheet. Now, if you're applying for admission spring 22 or later, all of those supplemental documents, your test scores, your transcripts are actually going to be submitted through your application as uploads. Your transcripts you can order directly through like the online application system, and it'll attach it right there to your application. Your test scores you self-report in your application, and then you have to send us your official scores. So if you are applying for spring 2022 admission or later, send me an email so that I can get you the specific instructions and the link on where to apply, because that's not on our website just quite yet. But I'd be happy to point you in that direction. All right, so that's our application process as a whole. Now, these are my top tips, and then we're going to go into taking your questions from the Q&A that you've been sending in this evening. So the first one is going to be know your deadlines. This is very important, as I mentioned, because not all of our programs admit 3 times per year. So if you're looking at a program that only admits once per year, you don't want to miss your opportunity to apply for a cycle that could be happening, in the fall of 2021. A lot of those deadlines are going to be coming up pretty rapidly. So if you're looking to start in the fall of 2021, just take a look at the program sheet and determine, when you would need to submit your application. The next thing is to complete your FAFSA. I recommend doing this now. You're considering FAU. No one's going to look at it or put together a financial aid package until you've actually received your official admission decision, but at least it will give you peace of mind knowing that it's been submitted and it's there waiting for our financial aid office to review once you've been admitted to a program. The next thing is search for your fellowship, scholarship, and any sort of awards early. If you're after an assistantship position, reach out to your program office, reach out to the program coordinator and learn about those assistantship opportunities. Look at the fellowship requirements that are on our website. Look at the scholarships. Look at what's going to be required. Some of these allow you to be a brand new student and apply for them, whereas some of them require that you have some sort of enrollment or complete 1 semester in your program before you're eligible to apply. But at least look. We leave all this information up on our website year-round, so it'll at least let you know what is being offered at FAU. Take your GRE and GMAT if it's required for your program. Like I said, if programs are offering a waiver, then don't spend the time, the money, the expenses to get prepared for your exam. Just go ahead and submit that online application, and then you don't have to worry about it. If they are still requiring the GRE or GMAT, Make sure that you submit those test scores. Make sure you register for the exam. As Amy mentioned, it takes about 2 weeks for us to get your scores after you take that exam. So you'll want to make sure that you take the test no later than 2 weeks before your application deadline, just to make sure that we get your test scores on time. Number 5, apply early. So we have our applications open for summer 21, fall 21, and spring 22 right now. So if those are semesters that you're looking on applying for, then those applications are open and ready for you to apply for. If you're looking at admission for summer 2022 and beyond, those applications will be open in September. And you'll see the link go live on our application on our website when those applications are open. But at least take a look, start getting your admissions, your supplemental documents together. That way you're ready to apply once those applications do open in September. 6 is to make sure you submit all of your application materials. So that's your transcripts, your test scores, any of those supplemental documents that are going to be required. Make sure that you submit them all so that you can be given full consideration for our graduate programs. Number 7, know your faculty and staff at the department level. As I mentioned during the assistantship portion, this is really important, especially if you're going after like a teaching or a research position. This is also just really important to make sure that you're finding your best fit program. You want to make sure that you're going to get everything that you're looking for out of your program before you apply and spend the time and the money to send your documents in. So reach out to faculty and staff, ask them about their research. They love talking about their research. They love talking about their graduate students. They're very proud of what they do. And so that'll just give you a good idea if this is a good fit for you. And then lastly, reach out to the graduate college with any questions that you have. I'm the point of contact for any prospective students. So if you would like to make like a follow-up appointment or a one-on-one appointment, just to really talk about your specifics of your graduate program or advice, or you really just want to run through the admissions process again, just send me an email. I'd be happy to schedule an appointment with you. But yeah, just let us know how we can help you. We're here to support you. We're here to help you through this process. It can at times be very confusing or cumbersome. So if you just have any questions, just let us know. We're always happy to help. All right, so I'm going to leave the contact information up for myself and Amy, and then we have the general contact for the financial aid office as well. But at this time, we'll open it up to questions. So Austin, do you have any questions?
Hey, Jordan, and great job, everybody, on the presentations this evening, as always. We've kept up with all of the questions thus far, but in case anyone had a response that you would like further clarification, please continue utilizing the Q&A feature. I also noticed that there's some coming through the chat as well, which is completely fine, but if you could direct it to the Q&A, that would be great. The latest question that we have is, when looking into MBA programs, which are waiving the GRE or GMAT?
What I will say about our MBA programs is most of them are still requiring the GRE or GMAT. And if they're offering a waiver, it's by like exception or based off of your background or your credentials. So what you'll want to do is just reach out to the MBA point of contact, like find on our program sheet which concentration you want to pursue, and then open up that program sheet and reach out to that program directly to determine if you would be eligible for a waiver based off of your background.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to type that up. Somebody apologized for messaging in the chat. No worries at all. We would really welcome your questions in any way, shape, or form. The Q&A is nice just because we're able to make it public once we answer those questions, and then we don't get inundated in the chat. Right now, I don't see any new questions, but I know that we frequently get questions about letters of recommendation and strategies for that. Perhaps Dean Stackman, would you like to talk a little bit about that? That's typically something we always get as a question, and I think that some of you are probably wondering it. So maybe you could just talk about general strategy for, as a student, requesting letters of recommendation.
Sure, thanks, Austin. Yeah, this is actually something that we often end up talking about in these sessions. And I think it's really valuable for students to understand why the letters of recommendation are so important and what the purpose is of them. So what you have to realize is that your application goes in and a committee reviews that application. They review all the aspects of the application to get the best picture of you as a candidate and then your fit in the particular program. So the letters of recommendation, you want to choose individuals to write those letters for you that can best state your qualifications. So if this is a faculty member, for example, that you maybe had in a course once, you did well in the course, and you think, well, okay, that person's going to write me a letter. That might be a reasonable person, but you would want the person to be able to say more than, I had Jordan in my intro neuroscience class and she got an A. What else do I put in that letter, right? So the better person would be someone that you've had a little bit more contact with, maybe perhaps even gotten involved in a DIR project as an undergraduate with that student, or with that faculty member, excuse me, or you wrote a particular additional research paper for a faculty member, you engaged in some scholarship with that faculty member. Somebody who can write a letter that can provide more detail than, I had so-and-so in my class, is going to be a more valuable letter. If it's a doctoral program that you're applying to, the charge or the difficulty for that admissions committee is to try to figure out where you fit into that graduate program. So in the case of a doctoral program where it may be research-based heavily, the admissions committee has to figure out where you're going to land, who are you going to match with, what faculty member is going to supervise your research. And so that match really becomes critical. And so the letters can provide details about your abilities to conduct research or your acuity for research or scholarship. So you really want to choose carefully. I can't say it enough, choosing carefully about who's going to write you letters of recommendation. The other thing I say is that, oftentimes students will ask me for a letter, and what I'll do is ask them to provide me with a draft of their personal statement. Because, and why do I do that? Not because I'm nosy, but I want to write the best letter that I can. And so if I have a good idea about this, more about the student, what they're particularly interested in, which graduate program they're interested in applying to, I can then craft the letter as best as I can to fit that particular program. So that's another piece. Don't be surprised if a faculty member asks you, hey, send me your personal statement. Don't feel like it's an invasion of your privacy. It's that they're interested in being able to do the best job for you with that letter of recommendation.
Excellent, Dean Stackman. Thank you so much. I believe we have a follow-up question on letters of recommendation. So I'm just going to go directly into that one since it's on the same topic. I understand these sessions are geared mostly toward current students, but I haven't been a student in years. Do these letters have to come from faculty?
Yeah, I can start, and then probably others have things to say here. It doesn't have to, no. If you've been out of academia for a while, been away in a career, then again, someone who could write specifically about your your qualifications and what they think your qualifications might be for graduate study. That would be helpful. Again, if it's a doctoral program where it's heavily research-based, or a doctoral program has lots of scholarship, somebody who can say something about your ability to write and to plan, and your conscientiousness, qualifications that will serve you well in a graduate program. But no, there's no rule that they all have to be from professors, for example.
I would add to that also that there are many professional degrees, so not necessarily every degree might be a research-based degree. So especially those types of degrees, if you are a working professional, you might have your prior supervisors who know you from a work environment, your skills, abilities, achievements that you've made, your contributions to that organization, to that workplace that you've been working at. So those are going to be very valuable as well. So yes, just to add on Dean Stackman's points, it doesn't only have to be somebody from academia, a professor, but it could be also from a professional environment.
Yes, and I'm sure some of you have done a lot of volunteering or philanthropy. Don't discount any of that great experience that you've been able to build throughout your life. Anyone that's worked above you or directly with you that can really attest to your skills, your abilities, and anyone that would make you sound like you'd be a viable candidate in that graduate program. So we definitely recommend that you consider academia, but if for whatever reason that is difficult for you, or for whatever reason poses an obstacle, consider all the other areas in your life in which somebody could be a valuable recommender. Great. Okay, next question we have, are there, and I believe Amy could help us with this one, are the test preparation courses offered over the summer?
Yes, we offer courses each semester. Right now on our website, you'll only see the ongoing courses for the spring 2021 semester, but probably by March, very beginning of April, we should post the summer courses, and then fall will roll out after that. So they are ongoing.
Thank you so much, Amy. Good to know that we have the ability to take some of those test prep courses in every single semester, and we're not taking a break in that area over the summer. Our next question is, for graduate school, is it required to be an undergraduate teacher or teaching assistant? I heard about this from other graduate school workshops where people are talking about how you need it, or that's one of the requirements, is doing something like that.
My knowledge, it is not required. It's something that if you're interested in doing and earning that tuition waiver, it could be an option in your program, but it's not required for any of our programs at FAU. It's just an option you have.
Thank you, Jordan. And like Jordan stated earlier in the presentation, a lot of these positions recur. There are certain programs and certain courses that continually have teaching assistants teaching those courses, and therefore every program has different sets of needs depending on their student populations and what undergraduate courses are offered. Therefore, you should really look into contacting those graduate programs directly, speaking with an executive assistant or senior secretary, some program coordinator that can provide you with details on when those teaching assistantships would be made available. But like Jordan said, there would be no hard requirements, like the only way you can get into a certain program is if you are a graduate teaching assistant. Next question that we see here is, has the criteria / deadlines for letters of recommendation changed due to COVID-19?
No. So the letters of recommendation requirements and deadlines have remained the same through COVID-19. What I will say is if you're having like difficulty meeting a deadline, to just communicate with your graduate program. Some of the programs have very hard deadlines where everything would need to be submitted by that published deadline, but some of them have flexibility or what we call rolling admissions, where they're constantly reviewing applications that come in. So just speak to your program coordinator or your program of interest, and if you're having any difficulty in that aspect, because all supplemental documents, they're requirements of the program. So they would have the flexibility of saying, yes, I'm going to accept them after the deadline, or no, they need to be in by the application deadline date.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have one more question right now, but again, please ask any remaining questions that you may have for us while the session is still going on. The next question is, would you recommend for an undergrad to apply to a PhD program foregoing a master's degree?
I'll start off with this one, if you guys don't mind. I think the answer that I would give is it really depends, right? So my first reaction was, of course, jump into that doctoral program, but it really does depend. It depends on the discipline. If I'm thinking, for example, social work, and I'm just finishing a bachelor's in social work, and I'm eyeing that doctorate in social work, having either some career experience in the field or going to get that master's in social work might be important before I decide to move towards the doctorate in social work. The doctorate in social work is often considered sort of a professional or career choice move, where you're looking to, maybe you're in a career position already and looking to move up, and that doctorate will really help you. If I'm thinking in the sciences and in engineering, the answer might be, yeah, maybe really do take a look at that PhD program. Because of some of the benefits that you've heard about here tonight, PhD programs often come with those assistantship positions that provide you with that financial assistance. So that's a real clear benefit over some of the master's programs in those same colleges, where master's students aren't always prioritized for those assistantship positions. Sometimes they're available, but sometimes not. I will say, sort of check yourself, right? So are you ready to jump into that doctorate program? Many of these PhD programs want the competitive applicant would be someone with a significant research background, some work as an undergraduate in a research lab or in an engineering lab. That practical experience will really help push your application more into the competitive side. If you've had mostly coursework and you haven't really had research experience, maybe the master's is where you want to go, because then you'll kind of gain some of that research experience. You'll be able to try it out, try graduate programs out, see what it's really like. And then if it fits for you, then you're going to be a very competitive candidate for a PhD program. And so in many of our PhD programs, there's a master's along the way. And if you're in the master's program, making that transition to the PhD can also happen. So those are my thoughts. I'm sure others have other ideas.
That is exactly what I would have said, so I don't have anything to add there.
Yes, well said, Dean Stackman. One of those, it depends. In certain instances, it would make sense for you, and in other instances, it may make more sense to go through a master's route. In certain programs, that is more of a common thing than in other programs where that prerequisite may include a master's degree or something similar. Great questions. Another question has come in. When requesting transcripts from my old school, it asks me if I want to request a PDF or hard copy. Which one is acceptable to submit?
So if your previous institution has a secure way to send them electronically, so that would be like through National Clearinghouse or Parchment as a common way to send them, then we will absolutely take them electronically. But it has to be sent like through one of those secure platforms. Our send to email that's associated with all of our accounts is just graduatecollege@fau.edu. Now, if your only option is for a hard copy, then you'll have to mail it to our Graduate College office, but it would be preferred if they'll send it electronically to send it electronically to us.
That is the last question that we have as of right now. So this would be the last call for questions for anyone that is attending this session right now and on any topics that relate to graduate admissions. But if there are no further questions, I will turn it back over to you, Jordan, to formally adjourn our information session.
Well, thank you all for taking time out of your Thursday evenings to attend this session. I hope that you found it beneficial. If you've learned anything from this session, just know that we're here to support you. So if you have any questions, or like I said, want to schedule like a follow-up appointment just to really go through your specific, circumstances or situation or a specific program that you're looking at, please feel free to send me an email. If not, then if you don't want to talk to me anymore and you want to go right to the program office, that's totally fine too. We make all of the contact information public on our website. They're, waiting to hear from you. They're eager to hear from you. So you can go that route as well. And if not, just thank you all for being here again, and we look forward to reviewing your application soon. So have a great evening.